So if the coach comes into the huddle and says, "All right, I'm running zipper DHO or zipper baseline, zipper punch," you got to know what that type of stuff is right away. But before you know all that terminology, let's go over the basis of it, which is zipper. What is a zipper cut? Denver runs zipper a lot, and it's very simple. It's not anything super complicated. Look at Jamal Murray. He's going to receive a screen from Millsap and just run straight up, right? That's all a zipper is. Just think like a zipper straight up. It normally happens in like side out of bound plays or flex, like flex offense. It happens in a lot of different situations, but all you need to know is what a zipper is, right? Zipper is that the only thing that is the action from going from that box straight up. Or you can do it in a lot of different areas of the court, but it's just going straight up. There's L cuts, there's V cuts. This is zipper. Now, sometimes it'll happen you're in the corner, you run down to that lane line or that box and go straight up. So you're gonna see a few more of them like that. Same thing, Jamal Murray. They really don't have too many plays for this side out of bounds, but it normally works, right? So zipper, they run right off of the screen. You'll see it a lot. Zipper, run right off of the screen, or DHO. Or sometimes they don't get the ball, and then they end up running DHO. This one, Paul George kind of gets lazy right here and gets caught up by the screen by Jokic, wide open three. So you're always a threat. You always want to be a threat, ready to score when you come off of a zipper cut. Turn around and be ready for the action that's set in motion. All right. So now you know what a zipper cut is.
Pick and pop. What is a pick and pop? So when dealing with pick and rolls, you're gonna hear a lot of different terminology, and it's normally referring to what the screener does, right? So pick and pop, you want to set the screen and then pop out for a jumper. Find open space and pop out for a jumper. Now let's go over some footage and I'll kind of talk you through it. So we're gonna have Luca coming off of all these ball screens. Let me switch over to my camera right here. Luca's gonna be coming off of all these ball screens. And let's see what the roller or the screener does, right? So now he slides zipper cuts up, sets the screen for him, behind the back pass, which we have been talking about a lot in our film session, that behind the back pass that I know Chris Paul mostly to do, Harden, but that's what pick and pop is basically right there. So now what you want the screener to do, and everybody needs to understand, is whether you're a screener or a ball handler, the better that you set a screen, the more open that you'll become, right? Because then you create an advantage for the ball handler, and then all the defense gravitates towards the ball handler, which leaves this person wide open, whether it be a roll, whether it be a pop, all that type of stuff, right? Anything. So he sets that screen, doesn't necessarily all the way make contact because Paul George fights around the screen. However, he's wide open because Zubac decides to play drop coverage and stand right over around that elbow area, which leaves I believe his name is Clabo, wide open. Let's go over another clip. Okay, let's see it. So here's one. He kind of backs out a little bit more than usual, but you can't remember you're trying to find open space. So he sets the screen right here. Watch how far he goes out because all this area over here is wide open. So he backs out, has a nice and easy 3-point shot. Coming off the screen again, you'll see a lot of pick and pop with these guys. But here we go. So he sets the rescreen, right? Comes off the screen, then he flips it, rescreens again. Not much of a screen, but he pops into that shot because Aldridge was a little late on it. Bucket. Last clip. He's going to come off the same screen, back out in the open space because that's the most open spot for him right now. Now he has a closeout situation where he low-key banged out right there. So basics of pick and pop, easy to understand. Now, it's not only for you to understand this information. If you are a guard or just a basketball player in general, you have to relay this information over to your players, to your bigs, whoever, right? So that not only can you be open, your teammate can be open, and everybody on the court can be open by setting that screen strong and then popping in the open space. All right.
You're going to hear this term a lot. DHO. What is a DHO? It stands for dribble handoff. So normally when the big dribbles towards the guard to get them in a handoff situation. So let's take a look at a few clips just so you can be sure exactly what it is. So I got a bunch of clips from the Miami Heat. You can see Tyler Hero ends up starting to go uphill and into the handoff situation. Then he turns the corner. Now notice that this big right here starts to drop when he starts to turn this corner, right? That's just to protect the basket. It's a lot that they're actually giving up. The shooters over here, the rollers over here. And Tyler Hero sees that, just keeps going towards the basket for a nice little easy runner. All right. Scoring options, right? So now we're going to bring the ball up the court. I'm skipping ahead a little bit. Good ball movement by the Miami Heat, even though it almost goes out of bounds right there. Duncan Robinson is one of the best at dribble handoffs in terms of getting threes out of it. He's always moving, right? Passes over to Bam, come right off of that. So the point is to get this defender, which is Chris Paul in this situation, trailing. So now he has him trailing right there, and he cannot go under that because you know Duncan Robinson will shoot that, right? Comes around. Now he has him on his hip or behind him, right? Almost like a post up or a box out, where he's in front of or he's in between the basket and Chris Paul. This creates a 2-on-1 situation, 2-on-1 being with Duncan Robinson, Bam, and Steven Adams. Now he takes off to the basket, fakes the pass, easy layup. This has created advantage for you. It's almost, think about it almost like a pick and roll, right? Except with handoffs, a lot of the times you're going to go back uphill, meaning towards, not downhill towards the baseline, from the half court towards the baseline. You're going to start going back up towards the sidelines, then back towards the baseline, if that makes any sense. Don't get anything off of that. You're going to get a handoff situation coming up here soon. Great ball movement. Not haven't found the shot that they want. Now, just basic handoff from guard to guard, from Tyler Hero, dribble handoff into Duncan Robinson. Pay attention to what happens. This guy guarding Duncan Robinson gets lost, goes under. That three ball is going up in the air. You already know what happens when Duncan Robinson shoots the 3-pointer, all right? Now, other options. Let's give another option instead of like the lift pass or a layup. Let's look at what happens when we get the roll man open. So I love this play. Bam pops up. Then Duncan Robinson sets the screen for him. Passes it to him. He passes it right over to Bam. Comes off a pin down. Then he goes into the handoff. Now he throws it up for the lob. Now, remember, Kemba is behind Dragic, who's really good at playing these situations, by the way. Jaylen Brown cannot leave Duncan Robinson. Tice has to step up and stop the drive because Dragic can pull it up. He can shoot floaters. He can get to the basket very easily, so he's a threat. Leaves Bam wide open. And that, my friends, is a DHO, a dribble handoff. Let's talk about slipping. So I want you to see this from a few different standpoints. One from a big, one from a guard, Klay Thompson and DeAndre Jordan. So slipping is when you go to do an action like screening and then you just abort from it and go to the basket, cut to the basket. So let's look at some. I think they're like perfect examples in my opinion, but let's check them out. Let's look at some examples. We got Chris Paul. This is like perfectly synced a lot of times when they do this. Uh, this is in transition. Paul goes and DeAndre Jordan looks to set the drag screen, right? So when they see the big more focused on Chris Paul than they do DeAndre Jordan just runs to the back because normally he's going to set the screen. Then he just slips to the basket, boom, right? So look at it again from this clip. You'll kind of see it a little bit better. So now he's making a edge. He's rounding off to take that screen or to set that screen. Looking at DeAndre Jordan here. He's rounding off to set the screen. Boom, goes to the basket. But pay attention to Jordan Hill's. I believe that's Jordan Hill's eyes. Pay attention to the big's eyes right here on defense. He's looking right at Chris Paul. DeAndre Jordan is looking at him, seeing that. Boom. Now he makes that move. Now it's another thing that you need to pay attention to in this case. So watch as DeAndre Jordan is kind of almost cued. They're almost on sync. by Chris Paul. Chris Paul, when he starts taking off to that basket, DeAndre Jordan immediately starts going too. And sometimes it's the opposite way around. Sometimes Jordan realizes that Chris Paul goes and then he goes, or Chris Paul realizes that, or Chris Paul goes and then Jordan goes. So you see it right there again. So that's considered slipping the screen, going to set the screen. Oh, last minute. So let's look at what we're seeing here, right? So the big is on this side, waiting to, to cup him right here or stop the ball right here. So instead of like he could have still ran him, Chris Paul could have still ran him off the screen. However, all the defense is packing a line right here. He's around the nail, he's around the other nail. So they got help defense, ready to go because they're protecting the basket. So then he takes off to the basket, live pass, easy. Another play, same thing. But pay attention to the big. They're just so focused on Chris Paul. He just takes off. Look how they go at the same time on sync. In sync, I should say. Pretty play. Got one more from CP3 and DeAndre Jordan. Actually, that's both of them. Goes to set the screen, aborts from it, goes against the dunk. Kaman never really moves. He just stays there. So obviously Chris Paul knows he goes to the basket, he'll draw the big even further. And if there's no help defense to take away that, which a lot of people weren't trying to jump with DeAndre Jordan this year or ever, then it leaves that live pass wide open. Now, Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson is the Warriors in general were just very good at not only doing this but teaching it to new players that were coming in, and it's just a part of the Warrior system, split cuts, right? So he's gonna go set a screen or fake a screen, boom. Then he's right. Then he goes back door. So that's another variation of slipping. Going to set the screen off ball. Like he wasn't going to set it for the ball handler. He wanted to go set it for Steph. Slips to the basket. And it creates confusion, right? So now when people are trying to switch, watch what happens if they would have switched. So let's get Klay Thompson. So if they would have switched, right? Not sure who this player is. If they would have switched, it would have been tough because he's on the top side of Klay Thompson. So Klay Thompson would have just been able to go to the basket. And the gravity that both of these guys have allow for this type of play either way to open up. So much attention on Steph. Klay Thompson just slips to the basket, gets the bucket. Next one. Same thing. Goes to set it for Andre. Oh, he's out of there. So the good thing, or one of the things that you want to start focusing on too, is when you set that screen, you want to slightly be angled on the screen. But if he does switch it, you want to be ready to wipe him out so that you can be on the bottom side of this defender, and the defender could be top side, so that there could be nobody between you and the basket. So say Andre Iguodala comes around here, he takes him, he sets that screen. There's nobody that would be able to help out besides Amari, but he still be on this side of the basket, which would allow a left hand layup. So hopefully this is helping you guys out because this is stuff that you need to learn how to do. You need to learn how to move without the basketball. You need to understand your reads when you don't have the basketball, when you're setting the screen or you're doing a certain action. There's so many different reads that you can make off of plays like that, and slipping is one of them. All right, hope you guys picked up on that. It's important as a basketball player for not only you to know where to go when the ball's in a certain place, but your other players should understand that too. And you have to be able to instruct them based on, your knowledge. You have to be able to instruct them on where to go. So if I drive, what do you do? Even if the post has the ball, what is the other big supposed to do? If I start to make a post move or drive to the middle or drive baseline, what does the other big do? All this stuff is very important. So today we're going to go over the dunker spot. Some people may consider the short corner, and it can be the area can be in the short corner. But let's take a look at it. I found this video off of YouTube. I thought it was just great. I didn't have to go through a bunch of film. The short corner technically is about right here on this spot on the opposite side, right around this area. But the dunker spot can be this, but it can also be all around right here. So based on this post having the ball, what is this big supposed to do? You want to put him in a dunker spot, and he needs to read and react based on what this guy does. And they normally move in tandem with each other. So if he goes up, then he'll go down, and vice versa. So if he goes baseline, then this big will go towards the middle, which would allow this baseline pass and a few other options. Now, because if you don't give this person options, you'll be in trouble. He'll just get trapped or be double teamed. So let's take a look at it. So the dunker spot, right? And this is it's they call it occupying the dunker spot. So I thought that was pretty good. So that's the dunker. So now if he goes baseline, like I just told you, then the dunker needs to fill out towards the middle. He throws a behind the back pass, which was nasty, which is actually taught on some teams that I saw in Europe, right? So now he goes, phases out, goes towards that middle. You'll see this open a lot because what happens is this guy is normally looking. A lot of guys are like the guys that's guarding you, they're just looking around. So pay attention to how he kind of fills out, finds an open spot, easy jump hook. And this shot is something that everybody needs to have. Same thing. He goes baseline, he's at the middle. Dunker spot. Probably gonna back him down. So you see the dunker going fill out to the short corner right around here. That would be considered around the short corner, all that area. So now he's going to move this way. And so he goes left towards the baseline. The other guy starts to move up. Then he goes the opposite way. What does he do? Move the complete opposite way of him. Spacing, timing. Have to have good timing for this because if not, the defense will see it coming. But another behind the back pass. All this stuff is taught 100%. Same thing. So now what's happening is when this person gets good at moving without the ball, the dunker, then it allows the post to really be able to go to work. And especially if the post is a really good post player. So see how like we're phasing out now. So everybody's just looking at the post player. Now this person is supposed to be digging down to take away that pass. This person is supposed to take the first pass out. But it makes it difficult when you have shooters on the perimeter, right? So now he goes outward. Boom, easy pass over there. Knockdown shot. Where's the dunker? Let's find the dunker. So the dunker is roaming around over here. There's a lot of help side right here. This person should be guarding this player over here. See what he does. Oh, so now he goes up. This person moves down. Easy pass over here. All this stuff is very simple to understand and very easy to coach a player on. So now, okay, they have the gravity created, right? So now I have to stick to this person because I know that he'll move and we'll get an open layup. Now it allows my big with the ball to just go to work. And that's when you really start picking players apart. Easy shot. All right. So that's pretty much what the dunker spot is. Just in case you heard that before, you need to be able to move with the ball. Spacing and timing is everything. If you ever run into an offensive player that is very good at scoring without the ball or scoring without having the ball in his hands, like initially, right? So if I'm coming off a pin down screen or a flare or all these different type of cuts, and you got a guy like Klay Thompson or Reggie Miller who can fly off of these screens, catch and shoot. Oh man, so you have to know what locking and trailing is, right? Lock and trail. This is what I learned in college. So it's an off ball movement defensively where the guy's receiving the pin down or whatever type of screen and he's running off of it and you're trailing right behind the defender, physically preventing him from going back door. His only option is to use the screen, but what you also need is help from your team defense. You need team defense because if not, you're going to get burned on this every time. But it's the process of staying on that defender's hip, chasing them around these screens, and not the key is not to get hit by the screen. And if I get hit as a defender, so should the offensive player because that's how close I'm staying to you. I'm staying attached. You want to stay attached to these shooters. And let's take a look at it. Lock and trail. So our first guy that we have right here. All right, there's the off the ball movement on this side right here. So look how he's attached, just staying right next to him, chasing him around, still chasing him around. Got to stay connected, or you can't let. All right, so when they catch the ball, you should be right there next to them. As soon as they catch the ball, that's how close. They shouldn't be able to rise up and get a shot, and you should be able to challenge those shots a lot better, even than what you saw here. But sometimes these aren't perfect examples, but they're examples nonetheless. I believe I'm guessing that's Cephalosha. I'm not sure, but he's just chasing them around. That's not Cephalosha, is that? It might be, but it's forcing them to speed up. And that's a good thing. If you get players to speed up, it's actually really hard to shoot the ball going this fast off a screen. Now, right there, let's look at the screen. Might have been a legal one, but he's just trying to stay connected. He's being real physical with him. A legal screen, definitely. But you want to be as close as you can. I tried to stay on that outside hip so that I didn't get hit when I saw the screen coming. But the thing is, what he did have is help defense, right? Because if this guy Schroeder didn't step up, that would have been an easy jumper right there. So he stepped up, didn't really get a hand up. Terrence Ross just missed it, but a good help defense, you'll step up and attempt to block a shot or whatever. So locking and trailing, he's still Dante Jones just following him all the way around the court, all the way around. So when he gets the ball, he's right there. Now it's forcing him to take a crazy shot, but look what we have though. We have help defense. So he jumps to the ball, steps in the lane, and it forces him to throw up a crazy shot. If he didn't have that help defense, it would have been a lot easier for him to get to the basket though. So I thought that was really good. Sorry, I get pop-ups on this computer sometimes. That was good right there too. So you see Kevin Durant take a cut up. He's cut straight up, and he's right there already ready to go. Wasn't like the best example, but it's still an example of locking and trailing. So a lot of times when guys are good off the ball, they get into your body. Watch what he does. He gets into his body. You see some of the better shooters do. I'm not saying he's the best shooter, but he gets into the body and it kind of pushes off. His job, because he's getting a double stack. It's like this screen is happening right now. So he's got to lock and trail, get all the way around that and stay as tight as he can, because once he comes around that screen, once he receives the ball, now it's time to really start making your way back in front. But look, we got eyes on the ball, right? And people are helping. So this guy steps up, takes away that drive, and he's already there, so it's perfect. Now he just ends up passing the ball. So there it is, J.R. Smith, who definitely can shoot off the dribble, receives that down screen, comes straight up, staying on his hip, fighting around that screen, not getting hit by the screen, most importantly. And ends up, Smith kind of got to where he wanted, but so I like this example right here because he's locking and trailing, getting around that screen. He didn't get hit either, and still found a way to contest that. That's beautiful. Great example of locking and trailing. But keep in mind, it's you're preventing them altogether from backdooring, and that's kind of the main thing that you want to focus on. Is one, not you're on their hip. You're locking the trail just like a missile following the ship. You're right on their hip, and then so that they can't go back the other way. And you're counting on your help side, your team defense, to take away the initial drive so that you can get back in place. All right. So that, my friends, is locking and trailing is something that you have to know when you get in college, when you play pro, and just any level of basketball. The earlier you know this, the better, and it'll allow you to be better. Just a terminology, just be better on defense.
Let's go over drag screens. It's something that you're going to hear a lot the higher that you play up, the higher the competition. They do it all the time in the NBA. And I need to make sure that you guys make basketball as easy as that it can be. And this is one of the easiest ways to score off a pick and roll, and that's a drag screen. So what is a drag screen? Basically, it's a screen in transition. So now when you're when you're transitioning down the court, I'm gonna bring up my clips here. When you're transitioning down the court, let's go. All right, so we got Brooklyn versus Portland. We're taking a look at Damian Lillard. So now the bigs, their responsibility is to get back, and most players too, like pretty much everybody on the court besides the person guarding the ball handler, their responsibility is to get back and protect the basket, right? So I'm talking about all these guys right here. They're communicating, getting back. But see, the problem is they're playing against Damian Lillard. So it brings all this up high. So with the drag screen, it's when you're transitioning from one side of the court to the other, and everybody's going back to protect the paint, and this big is looking to headhunt, meaning set a screen, look for a little guard to set a screen, the guy with the ball handler. The ball handler, the guy guarding him, you want to set a screen on him so that he can get a easy downhill attack on this big man right here. So normally when they don't even come this high, normally like high school and college, but Dame Lillard, they have to step up because he can shoot this three, right? So the problem is with that, if you step up too high, see, Dame Lillard, most people don't know, he is a much improved finisher at the basket. When he first got in the league, he was not this good at finishing at the basket. So he's attacking downhill. But the thing, when you got a big this high, all you have to do is run hard as you can at him and go by. Because now look at how hard it is for him to slide his feet with Dame Lillard. He has to open up completely, which slows him down. Dame Lillard runs in front of him to cut his lane off so he can't time the block. And then he gets the layup. So we're taking a look at another transition screen. Both of the big and the ball handler were transitioning down the court. We're headhunting, screening on this guard, but look where this guy is, right? The big is right here. Apparently not high enough. And he actually receives another screen where it's Porzingis, I believe, should have stepped up higher because you got Dame Lillard. But if he does, he goes to the basket. So it's virtually almost unstoppable to guard this guy unless you go way up high or you just switch in general. And even still, that's tough to do. It's a tough task to stop a guy like that. So pay attention. Another one where transitioning, Nurkic is going to headhunt Dame Lillard's defender. Boom. So pay attention to what Porzingis is doing. He drops back. So easy jumper. Very easy jumper. And defensively, you have to communicate, especially on a guy like Dame Lillard, because this is an easy jumper. Like if you don't step up, he'll go to the basket. If you back up, it's going to be a three. So it's very hard to guard. And normally the guard doesn't see this coming. Doesn't step up again. Easiest shot that Dame Lillard ever shot. Just wide open pretty much. Nurkic headhunting again. So a lot of time, what you want to tell your big, act like you're going down to the post. Act like you're going down to the post, just kind of, chilling, and then go come scream, my man. So now Tim Hart, even out here where the Black Lives Matter is, he has to come all the way out here to guard Dame Lillard. He has to go over the top because Dame Lillard will shoot that. And that's just why you should become a better shooter, because of things like this, because now the floor is wide open. And now that he backed up, he still ended up attacking him because what did Dame Lillard do? Just ran straight at him for the jumper, or for the layup. So who would be right here? Got a screen from the trailing big man. He ended up refusing it. And for a guard, this could be very, very frustrating to guard this because you just don't know what's going to happen. It's hard enough guarding somebody off a pick and roll, or it's hard enough guarding somebody one-on-one, but it's really hard guarding somebody that knows how to come off of pick and rolls and a big that knows how to screen you. So you want to really game your big man up on how to screen your defender as the ball handler. So Nurkic kind of low in the sleep, then goes to get him. Has to go over the top, ends up almost making it anyways, but fouls him. We got a couple more plays, 2 more plays here. Let's see. Go back a little bit. All right, Dame comes transitioning up and down the court, just like we talked about. Receives the screens, I think that's from Collins. But, big, slow Nurkic, or not Nurkic, Jokic, he's up too high for Dame Lillard, apparently. And then he gets in for the basket. All he did was run right at him, attacked his hip. and got to the bucket. Last play, good block by Nurkic. Head hunting Nurkic right here because the big is thinking about getting back, protecting the basket, and now Dame Lillard is turning that corner. So obviously it helps to be able to finish, but what all sets this up is his ability to shoot the basketball, and that's what I need you guys to get down, is your ability to put that ball in the basket from long range. All right, now it's your turn to go work on this. Now you have the IQ and the terminology of what a drag screen is.